Easter evening, and we went to church on Saturday night because our church had 6 services. Then we went to the water park today, and then now I'm jumping on here doing a live with you. So if you have any questions about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, drop it down below. If you guys are new here, you've never seen me, don't understand what's going on, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse. For multiple years, I showed up as an abusive, narcissistic asshole. Someone who lied, cheated, manipulated, and gaslit my wife for years. Inside of this, she finally got to the place where she left. That way she could heal. When she left, it was also a piece that I couldn't find anyone else to blame because it was just me. And all of my shit that I'd caused, all the pieces that have been destructive that I had to actually face. So inside of all of this, there was this piece of me seeing and understanding that something had to change. Because if nothing was going to change, nothing was going to change. It was going to stay the same way every single time. So what I started is I started a channel about talking about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, talking about my experiences, talking about different pieces. And people started reaching out wondering what's going on. And you seem to be exactly like my ex. You made something very clear about what he did to me, et cetera, et cetera. And things just kept opening up. And so the platform that I have is to deal with and to help people heal from narcissistic abuse. I work with women who've been trapped in toxic relationships, mentally or emotionally or physically. They're still with the toxic guy, helping them have clarity, and confidence, and certainty to move forward in the healing that needs to happen, of them rewiring their mindset and actually being free. I also work with a select group of narcissists, guys that have showed up toxic, abusive, the guys that have showed up as cheaters, liars. And as a result, some of them are able to switch their life around when they're willing to be honest. Others of them go through the motions, don't get the results simply because they're not willing to be honest or deep enough to actually shift and actually have the change that they want inside of their world. But tonight, it's about getting this piece of question and answer time, which is why you're here, which is why we're going to jump in and just talk through where you're at, what's going on inside of this, and let's talk through this piece of narcissism, narcissistic abuse. Why they act like they like you, then say, I don't have feelings for you, only as a friend. To pull you close and push you away. Did the same exact thing with my wife early on. I was like, I like you, but I only view you as a sister, right? It's a piece of push her close, pull her away. It's a piece that I didn't even realize, didn't even understand in one sense that I was doing at that point, but that was part of the regular MO. That was part of a piece that would pull a person close and that would also push them away all at the same time. Let's see where that went. Have you been totally healed? I don't know if I'd say totally healed, but who I am now compared to who I was before, massively different, completely shifted. Who I would be 5 years ago versus who I am now, massively different. Our marriage wouldn't have been here at all. Our lives wouldn't have been this way at all. We wouldn't be able to have relationship, connection, interaction. Like everything is massively different compared to where it used to be. So it's been massive. Big change, big growth inside of everything that's shifted over the past several years. Is there a lot to work on? Sure. But we've also made a lot of progress. I've made a lot of progress, and my wife and I have made a lot of progress in the healing space too. Then he says he's praying for someone better than me to come along. Yeah, I don't know who he's praying to. It's definitely not God because he doesn't know him. I left, but I don't feel better. 21 years of my life wasted on a man who humiliated and exploited me to other women. I can't get the words of these vicious women out of my head. It's him giving. So like inside of this, if you're dealing with this piece and you don't know how to heal from it, I work with people that have been in the relationship for a long period of time. So like you say 21 years, that is a long time. Longest person I've worked with and I've coached to be able to help her heal was 39 years. 39 years inside the toxic relationship, and then we're able to actually give her freedom, able to give her peace, able to give her confidence. It's massive, but it's hard. Rewiring the mindset, the subconscious programming that's been built inside of you because of the narcissist is super hard. We teach a process called the freedom formula, which is helping people actually break free of the toxic story and the toxic cycle that's going through their head over and over and over again. So if you don't shift, if you don't switch the programming, basically, of how you've been programmed, nothing will actually change and everything will stay exactly the same for a long period of time. Where am I at? I'm ruminating mode. I have so much left to say to him. I have to stop this. So rumination is a piece of the trauma bond. It means the trauma bond isn't fully broken. It's a piece that's going to continue to affect you for a long period of time until we break completely of the trauma bond. Otherwise, it'll continue to be in your head. I'm angry and it's been like 8 months. Anger is fine. Anger is not a bad thing. Anger is not a bad emotion. It's emotion that you can actually work with if you take the anger and you actually channel it towards your healing versus obsessing about something that you can't fix. It's a big piece. Mostly moved on, but the anger, I want to stop thinking about him. 100% get that. That's a big piece that we work with of helping shift the mindset. You've got to be able to release, not just the anger, but you also have to have a place to release it, right? You can't release it on him because you might be no contact. You can't release it on other people because then you screw up relationships, but you have to have a way to be able to release it. I do a process called rage stacking, which is where you can actually get out the rage, get out the anger, and then also have it start to flip, have it shift the story that you're telling yourself so that you're not stuck captive to that anger. Because that's really what happens, is you become a victim to the anger, you become captive to it, it doesn't actually let you move on and heal you. Ready for a cheeseburger and a Diet Coke? Yeah, I don't remember the last time I had a cheeseburger and a Diet Coke. That's not in my meal prep plan at all. So nice try with that one. Do you remember everything you said bad to your wife? No. I know a lot of different things I said bad to her, but do I remember everything? No. She probably does, but I don't. There's a lot of compartmentalization, a lot of things that I would put to the side that I would be like, that never happened. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to talk about how I showed up that way. Inside of one of our old houses, it had this piece where there was like a balcony, right? So like an open loft. And there was a piece early on where we were in whatever aggressive argument that was happening, and I leaned over the balcony as she went down because I was frustrated because she was pulling away in that moment. I was losing the argument, right? And I screamed over the balcony. I don't remember the exact words of like the phrase I was saying, but I do remember calling her a crazy psycho bitch. And inside of that, my daughter at that point, she was like, I don't know, she was like in a walker or something like that. So she was like less than 1, I think, was downstairs, and all she could feel was the energy. She burst out crying. Because like energetically, there was so much shit that I was putting out there that was not helpful at all. But yeah, there's a lot of mean things that I said to my wife. A lot of things that had to go through the healing process of how I showed up, how I communicated. Can a narcissist ever really change? I believe anybody can change. It's a piece of how much are they willing to actually be honest, how much are they willing to actually work on themselves, right? If they're not willing to be honest, vulnerable, and show consistent change, nothing's actually going to happen. I think anyone's capable of change. Will people change? A lot of people don't change. A lot of people don't heal, simply because they're more stuck either on themselves, they're more stuck on the pain, the trauma, the victimhood, all different types of pieces that will leave people stuck and still losing out on their healing. That's a good question. I went backwards after 3 years, no contact. I was lonely, I believe, disappointed myself. Robin, if that's you, then please reach out. You know, if that's a piece where you're like, hey, I broke contact, or like you're beating yourself up, you're not back to square one, even though it feels like it. You might feel like that because you had some of the same pain and emotions and feelings get triggered, but inside that, we can still help you start from where you currently are. Have the actual tools to make sure that you don't go back, that you break the trauma bond once and for all. So even if you walk back into your life, you wouldn't even think twice of being like, nope, like this isn't gonna work. Do you have any specific thing to say about healing with a narcissistic child? So the hard part inside of that is, so the narcissistic child is 36. The hard part about that is when you're trying to heal with that, you have to set up healthy boundaries for you. And if that person's not willing to respect them, you also have to be willing to pull away. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do and one of the hardest things I'd ever say to you. But inside of this, if you choose to stay inside of a relationship where someone's still abusing you mentally and emotionally, you're actually enabling it. You're telling them that it's okay to be able to do this, and you're not actually training and showing them a different way of life. When this keeps happening, it's only going to keep happening. There's not a piece where it's going to magically stop. Right? If he's not willing to actually see and understand and work through different pieces, not of narcissism, but initially of just being a liar, like not even being able to acknowledge like how he's hurting other people or how he's showing up. Those are some of like the core premise pieces that need to be acknowledged and worked through first. Not even narcissism. Narcissism is too big of a bite to be able to take off with someone who's like just coming into awareness that they might be doing something that's toxic. Do you have any specific thing? Oh, did I say that? He left me for what I perceive as a woman who is trash after years on and off. He suddenly wants to marry her. She's been with Dex with histrionic PD. Yeah, he calls me the crazy one. I don't understand why, because it has nothing to do about her looks. It has everything to do with just how he is wanting to perceive himself and how he wants to feel in the moment. That's the thing, is you'll look at her and you'll be like, wow, she's so much less than me. He doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care. He could go find someone off the street, just like someone who's living homeless and being like, hey, this person is the greatest person ever. Why? Because he's trying to feed an ego. And if he can find anybody to do that, he will do that with anyone. It doesn't matter. There's not a certain type of person of like, oh, this person is the best person, this person is not the best person. It doesn't matter. However you perceive that person, he doesn't care. All he cares about is what he's getting, what he's doing in the moment. Why does he want to marry her? He could just want to continue locking her into it. He could want to throw it back in your face to make you feel awful. Like, there's a lot of different reasons. The question is, why are you still focusing on him, and why are you not focusing on your healing? Because at the end of the day, you can focus and you can get all the answers and all the questions about him and about the ex, and you still won't be healed because you'll still be focused on the other person. You'll still be focused on the things that are actually not helping you move forward, not helping you actually liberate your mindset, your thought process, because you're so obsessed about the other person. That's the biggest thing. Can a narcissist be dangerous? 100%. Whatever a narcissist threatens, I would take it at face value. Keep yourself safe. Be careful. Right? You never know what they're going to do. You never know what they're capable of, especially if you've already seen violence, like in the house, like towards you, towards the house. Like, if he says and he's threatening to do different things, I would be careful. I would make sure you take precautions so that you are safe. How do you co-parent with a narcissist? No sound? Turn it up. Everybody else can hear me. How do you co-parent with a narcissist? Be parallel parenting. There's no such thing as co-parenting with a narcissist. It doesn't exist. They're not going to work with you. In fact, everything becomes a battle. Everything becomes a chore. Inside the piece of co-parenting, couple pieces, limit all communication and limit all connection. He doesn't need to have access to you. The more he has access to you, the more he's going to use and abuse it. So you have to understand, you have to make sure that you stay as far away from him as possible, and that communication goes through a third party, goes through text, or goes through email, or goes through another person completely, so that he doesn't see, interact, or have access to you. The other piece is, if you do have to communicate based on your laws of your state or whatever it might be, if you do have to communicate, I would suggest using the BIF method and also having a court-approved device that you're, or like app that you're communicating on. The BIF method is simply 4 steps: a brief, informative, friendly, and firm. You can look it up. It's used for like high conflict divorce, etc. Narcissist, high conflict. But what it is brief. You're keeping it really short and sweet. It's informative, facts only. Don't bring your emotions into it. He'll shred you with that. And then friendly, meaning like, hey, something you'd send to like a neighbor or like a coworker. And then firm, meaning you have a boundary and you stick to it. Third thing I would say inside of this would also be the copy-paste method. Get something in writing, whether that's an agreement over text, whether that's agreement with the court of, let's say, what the co-parenting or the communication agreement might be, whatever it might be. And then the one thing that he continues to go up against of like, hey, I want this different, I want to do this different, whatever it might be. With that, all you do is you take a screenshot of the original thing, you take a screenshot of whatever he agreed to, and every time he tries to go out of that boundary, you just say, hey, appreciate it, but this is what we agreed to, send him the text. Is it gonna piss him off? Yeah. But what you're doing with the narcissist at this point is you're training him. Just like you train a puppy to be outside. You're going to keep taking him outside over and over and over until he's potty trained. Well, that's kind of what you're doing with a narcissist in a co-parenting situation when you're using the copy-paste method. You're doing certain things to make sure that he gets it through his head that no matter what he does, he's going to get the same exact response. Eventually, he'll start to realize, hey, every time I do X, Y, and Z, I'm always going to get the same exact response. So either I'm going to change my behavior, or I'm going to avoid asking or doing the same exact thing because I always get the same exact response, and it's kind of annoying. So either way, you win inside of that. But the key is you have to be really consistent. When you're not consistent, it doesn't work. My ex is a narcissist. How do I stop her turning my son against me? Really huge. One, don't badmouth the narcissist, because it'll actually take the kid and the kid will automatically go towards that other parent's defense. 2, provide an emotionally safe space for your kid. And then 3, like, you have to be consistent and you have to work on your own healing so that you're not triggered with the kid and you're not triggered with the partner in front of the kid, making you look like the crazy psycho person. So like inside of that, most people are like, I need to focus on the kid. No, you actually need to focus on you, because if you're not emotionally regulated, the kid will even trigger you to the place that you'll act in a way that will push the kid away. This happens too many times. Too many times when women are trying to be able to save their kids from the toxic relationship, they end up alienating the kids and putting them away. Same exact thing that'll happen with a woman that's trying to protect her kids from the toxic relationship by not telling the kids or not being transparent with what's actually happening behind closed doors or how she's getting abused. It doesn't have to be that graphic, but it does have to be something of like, hey, this is going on. He's cheating on me, whatever it might be. Because then the kid grows up and they resent the mom because she didn't tell the truth, and they resent the mom because they didn't understand what was happening, and dad was always this great person. I can't believe this. So there's a lot of ways you can lose the kids by trying to protect the kids, especially when you focus too much on the kids and you don't focus on your own healing. That's big, and a lot of people miss that. What I like to say is, out of your own healing comes your kids' redemption. That's the biggest thing I say. They blame you for everything and start false tears, 100%. Why? What do you think about Machiavellian, especially when it happens to you? Don't really have much to say about that. I don't know a ton about it, and so I'm not going to try to say something that I don't know. Americans create fear and illness, never be a victim, find God or meaning, be real and strong. Why they triangulate people so they can control other people. It's an easy way to be able to pit them against other people that don't know the other person. When no contact with someone who's a narcissist because I had enough for gaslighting, now she's going to the gym is trying to make me jealous. Yeah. How do you get the narcissist to agree with you? So for instance, if you catch him in a lie and you want him to agree that he lied, he's not going to agree with you because that lie is going to make him look bad. There's not a surefire way to be able to get a narcissist to agree with you. Wish there was, but that question and answer doesn't really have a good response. There's not a good way to get him to agree with you. Oftentimes he's stuck in his own frame of reality and doesn't want to admit anything else. So typically you can't. Are you a narcissist? Yes. Welcome to the channel. Self-aware narcissist, helping other people heal and grow. And also it says in the title, I'm a narcissist, ask me anything. But welcome. This is what I do. I answer questions to be able to help people heal. Also run different programs with people to be able to help them break the trauma bond, move forward in the healing process, and actually find their freedom, their confidence, and their clarity. If that's something that interests you, or you want to learn a little bit more about what I do, you can go to rawmotivations.com. We'd love to be able to help you move forward in the healing process. What childhood trauma caused you to become this? When we dial it in, a lot of it goes back to emotional connection, emotional vulnerability, lack of emotional support, different pieces that I did or didn't have from my parents, and different aspects that I didn't feel comfortable working through and dealing with. So it had more to do on the emotional side and different trauma that happened there. Does the new supply know he's using her to make you jealous? No, not always, but sometimes he's already pitting her against you. He's using triangulation so that if you did reach out, you'd still look like a crazy person. My narcissist used to treat me like he treated his younger sister horrible to his own sister and family member. Yeah. What causes narcissism? There's a lot of different pieces, and there's a lot of different research that's coming out that a lot of people want to comment on my channel being like, it's all genetic now. And I haven't read the book, so I can't dive into it, but I need to read the book of one of the guys who's trying to debunk the whole piece of it has nothing to do with a person's childhood. I think on the surface level that's a load of hooey, mainly because everything in your childhood shapes who you are in the future. And the other piece that I have, at least at face value, I haven't read the book, so I need to look through it. But at face value, my thought is he's using the frame, at least from what I saw and kind of like reading through some things, he's using the frame of like, oh, if it's just their childhood, then people are blaming on the childhood and then they kind of get off scot-free. I don't think that's the case, and I don't think that's the right perspective. If it's in your childhood, it means you can heal it, like 100%. Now, for me, if someone says that narcissism is just genetic, that to me is going to breed way more victims. Why? Because, well, if it's genetic, it's in my genes. I can't help it. I'm just an abusive asshole because I was born that way. I have a problem with that because everyone has a choice. Everyone can shift. Everyone can change if they're willing to be honest and actually work on themselves. So I'm a little leery of all of the research that people are coming out with being like, oh, it's genetic. I have a hard time to be able to believe that. Because if it's genetic, aren't we going to just have more narcissists show up? Because, well, can't help it. As they continue to procreate, and a lot of narcissists knock up a lot of people, as they continue to procreate, that just means we're going to have more narcissists in the world. I don't really think that. I think a big piece against narcissism is broken families. Because kids grow up and they don't have families that are together. They don't have families that are solid. And they also don't have men that are leading the families. And so as a result, they have no clue how to show up. And so we have a lot of people that are grown up, that are not grown up, and are continuing to live life entitled, abusive assholes. So that's my stance on it. Again, haven't read the guy's book about the whole genetics piece. We have to look into that. But I believe everything's a choice. Just like I believe that what you do on a day-to-day basis to heal yourself is a choice. You can stay in victimhood and be like, I can't help it. This happened to me. Or you can choose to be able to rewire your mindset, your story, and be able to move forward in the healing process. You're not stuck. You're not trapped. That version of you is hidden and needs to be unlocked, needs to be worked through. So inside of this, a big piece of what I work through is helping people break the trauma bond, mentally, emotionally, physically, helping people rewire their mindset and give them a tool to be able to lower the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the guilt, the shame, and help them actually see to be in charge of their triggers versus their triggers actually controlling them. Anyways, that was my little soapbox. Let's see what I missed. Why they get worse when drinking, because their inhibitions are low. They can actually tell you how they actually feel. How do you heal from a narcissist? You have to heal the trauma bond. I'd love to be able to show you a little bit more about that. You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. I talk about that there. I'm annoyed him because I figured out who he was. I survived the emotional abuse. The narcissist themselves looks chronic fatigue and cancer. He took advantage of me knowing a lot of times they will. Can you eat certain foods? Yes, I can eat foods. Why narcissists treat his family ugly behind closed doors and nice to everybody else? That's the image, that's the mask. The people that are closest to him are the ones that see him as he truly is. They see the piece inside of him that's either empty or void. They see the piece inside of him that's not the mask that he's putting out there. So he has to keep it nice to everybody else so he can keep his image, so he can look and act and feel a certain way about himself. Just listening in and watching gets a bit of information about the narcissist. I heard my boyfriend is a narcissist. He's always playing the victim. He's always hurt, even though I don't hurt him. Sounds like a covert or a vulnerable narcissist. How do you plan against natural instinct? Give me a little bit more about that. Love what you're doing. Thank you. Appreciate it. Adult temper tantrum, 100%. Do narcissists know how they treat people like objects and it's wrong? How can they have such little regard for others? So the best way I can try to explain this, and you're gonna have to like play with me, kind of like imagine just for a moment about this. Imagine you are the biggest, best, most amazing person on the entire planet, right? And so much so that everybody else around you is smaller, is less than, has a lower IQ. There'd be a piece of you that'd be like, wow, I'm pretty amazing, and all these people are kind of idiots, okay? Now extrapolate that like 100 times, and that oftentimes is how a narcissist is thinking. So it's a piece of it of like, well, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, I look better than you, all these kind of thoughts, right? Because he's trying to prop up his shattered ego or his messed up ego. He's trying to like make himself feel better about himself. That's the mask, right? So he's trying to be able to build this up. And so as a result, it's like, oh, well, everyone's here is lower than me. Everybody's here is meant to serve me. And these are just objects to be able to get me what I want because I'm so much better than them. Okay. Now, I'm not saying this because it makes logical sense. I'm saying it because that's how a lot of times the mindset acts and thinks. I'm just trying to break it down in a different way to hopefully have you like just glimpse a little bit of how it makes sense in his mind. Okay. It's hard for me to kind of break it down, but hopefully that makes sense. If that makes sense, like type in, makes sense in the chat, and then I actually know. So little regard for other people. Again, it's the same aspect. Like if I'm so much better and everybody else is less than, right? So it'd be like, not a good example, but let's try this. It'd be like my dog is less than me, right? Like my dog is not a human, right? My dog doesn't have a soul. Well, you might argue with that, but like my dog is less than a human, okay? That's how a narcissist is interpreting of like, you're not special, so you're less than, okay? That's how he's like doing that as far as like the regard piece. How do you keep yourself calm? It's difficult a lot of times. It's difficult. Right now, there's less and less triggers that I have to worry about. I've worked really hard to be able to work on a lot of our triggers. Tonight was a triggering moment with our 5-year-old. She was having a really, really tough time, and she was going around screaming, and that's both a trigger for myself and my wife, especially when it's like in our faces. But inside of that, it's different calming techniques in the moment, right? Like taking deep breaths, trying to think different things, trying to shift what I'm thinking in my head, right? Because if I'm not careful, I'll think like, oh, her disrespect, that's hurting my ego, and then it becomes about me, and then my guilt and shame raise up, and then I want to rage out, right? So it's a piece of being able to understand like, hey, and my wife will do a lot of times, like I'll get in a mode, not a ton, but sometimes I'll get into an argument with my 5-year-old, right? Sometimes it's funny, sometimes I'm like, no, I'm right, and then she'll kind of look over and be like, you're arguing with a 5-year-old. I'm like, yeah, keep your ego in check, right? There's different pieces. So I don't know if that helped. I kind of went off on a bunch of things. Can flying monkeys pretend they don't even know your ex? Yes. Be a spy only, playing dumb? Yes. One of his friends, mutual, all of a sudden started following me on Instagram right after I blocked my ex. He could have brought them in on a certain story and then started following to report back to him. There's a lot of different ways. My ex likes to make our 5-year-old daughter insecure, saying mommy doesn't love her so she can feel unsafe with me and safe with him. Oh, mommy doesn't love you, but come to daddy, I love you. My daughter is always distraught with it. Can I do something to make him understand he's destroying her so that he can feel more loved? A lot of times you're not going to be able to convince him of that because he's purposely doing that to be able to get more attention from the kid. So he actually doesn't care about you and he doesn't care about the kid. He's using her to be able to prop up his ego. What you can do is you can show up as a loving, connected mom that provides emotional space, and your daughter will start to see, regardless of what he's saying, she'll be like, wait a second, mom doesn't show up that way. Like, that's the biggest piece I need you to hear. You could spend all your time battling him or all your time trying to convince her that, no, I do love you, or you could just live it. And when you live it, the kids start to see it differently. But they have to see the contrast of dad being like, she's crazy, and you showing up not crazy, grounded, centered, firm. This is why your healing matters more than your kids' healing. Because if you don't heal, the kids are going to look at you and be like, why should I heal? Because you're still messed up, right? The healing has to come through you, because when you heal, when you show up in a strong, confident, certain way of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, it provides an emotionally safe space, and that's what the kids need at that moment. Should you always trust your gut when something is off, when someone, aka the narcissist, or am I tripping, paranoid, and anxiety? So the gut can sometimes be a trigger to be able to ask questions, be able to think through it. In my frame, how I teach people is like, you need to trust the facts. You need to start looking at what is the evidence, what is the facts of how he's treating you, what's the facts of the demonstration, what's the evidence of what's happening, and don't let your feelings run your facts. That is probably one of the biggest things that happens, and that's why your logic and your heart are completely disconnected. That's what keeps you stuck. That's part of the trauma bond piece. So what keeps you stuck in a toxic relationship, because he's being an abusive asshole, but he tells you he loves you, and you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll stay a little bit longer. Right? Because he loves me. Because you're addicted to the highs and the lows. These are all different parts of the trauma bond. What I do specifically is help people actually see a step-by-step process of how to break the trauma bond, be freed from toxicity. If you want to have a call with me and we can talk through how this actually works and you can see a step-by-step plan, you can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough and just to be able to see and understand. We can sit down, have a conversation, and you can actually see step-by-step how you can actually heal from this. But the trauma bond is one of the hardest things to break people free. Why is a narcissist? Look at your pupils. Sometimes liars will do this specifically, because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, if he's lying, he's not going to look at you. A lot of times a narcissist or a good liar will look you exactly in the eyes, simply because if he can connect with your pupils and be like, I'm going to look dead set when I tell a lie, you won't think I'm lying. It's just another lying technique. Or force you to look at your own pupils, what do you mean? Like in a mirror? Like that confused me. So glad I found you. I've been dealing with narcissists for 13 years and vice versa. So British, as I like reach out, would love to be able to talk to you. Like, let's sit down and have a call. You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough just so we can help accelerate the healing process, so you can actually get free mentally and emotionally long time. How do you stop a stalker after 9 years? Police, and you keep going back over and doing the same things over and over till you get them thrown in jail, till you get them arrested, whatever you need to do. Why are narcissists mean and hateful to people? Because they don't care about anybody else. They think they're the best person in the world. They feel entitled, and as a result, everybody else is meant to serve the narcissist. Everybody in a narcissist's mind is just a slave or is an appliance to be able to use. So in their mind, they're not even being mean to people. They're just getting what they want, and using other people is how they get what they want. Messed up? Yes. But I'm trying to communicate it very clearly of what it is. I'm an empath, and all we do is fight. So you're a human that has emotions, and you can heal. The reason why I'm saying this is because sometimes people will take the empath flag and they'll be like, this is why I keep getting abused. No, it's because you don't know who you are and because you don't have healthy boundaries. And as a result, you let someone walk over you because you don't have enough respect for yourself to actually stand up and say, no, I will not be a part of this abuse anymore and I will not allow it in my life. I don't know if you're using the empath as a flag to be able to let everybody know and to let yourself know, well, this is who I am. But I'm saying this because many times people will do this. Well, I'm an empath, so that's why I attract narcissists. No, you don't have a self-respect. This is really hard for some people. Like, watch, like the followers and the people on the live will drop when I go off on this. Why? Because people don't want to hear this because people would rather stay stuck in a victimhood mindset that everything's happening to them and they can't change. They can't change how they show up. They can't change what's happening. Just because you have empathy doesn't make you an empath. And just because you have empathy doesn't make you susceptible. Just because you have empathy is actually a superpower. But the problem is if you don't have healthy boundaries and you don't have healthy self-respect, your superpower gets abused by someone who knows how to manipulate you because you're not set in your boundaries. You're not set in how you're actually living. You're not set with purpose and direction. He's like, I can pull you off track. By the way, you're an empath, so I'll make you feel bad and I'll keep manipulating all your emotions because you're too focused on the feelings aspect than you are on the facts of the situation. Do narcissists ever change for the better if they're willing to be honest, vulnerable, and have this consistency of working on themselves? Do you love people or just love what they do for you? In the past, love what they did for me. Now, love people. Why? Because it's different in me lowering my ego, showing up differently, and working on rewiring the mindset that has been inside. This is why I know I can help people heal, simply because I've shifted so much over the past several years. I bring the same tools into what I do and how I coach people to help them break the trauma bond, stand up in clarity, find their confidence, and make decisions in certainty instead of being stuck. We can talk about the certainty piece here in a little bit. So techniques that you use to improve self-esteem and self-value. All the self-esteem and the self-value go back to the story you're telling yourself. There's a story, a subconscious story, and there might be 1, 2, hundreds of them that are underneath that are telling you that you're not worthy. They're telling you you're not good enough. And the narcissist in your life came in and pulled out something that was internal and then just extrapolated it more. So if we can help you rewire that story, all of a sudden it starts to shift. The only reason why the self-value and the self-esteem piece is low is because you believe it's low. Like you're not created with low self-esteem. Like God created you and made you a wonderful, amazing, beautiful person. But then you come in, you're like, well, I have all this guilt and shame because I'm not good enough, because I'm not worthy, all this kind of stuff. And that becomes imposed on you from a lot of times people on the outside. And then you start to believe it. It becomes a story that you believe. Parents or other factors, narcissistic people into becoming narcissistic people. I'm a narcissist myself. I've been doing better than before. I'm actually became a decent person. So a lot of times parents, childhood, different pieces that are happening shape and shift how you're showing up for sure. Mine used to believe he was the most handsome man on the planet. He even swore my toddler's nurse was hitting on him. He even failed to acknowledge that her daughter may be on the autism spectrum. Yeah, a lot of times they will do it. Why do they like to see you suffer? This piece, no one's gonna like me to say, okay? But I need you to understand something. If a person is liking you and enjoying your suffering, they're probably a sociopath or a psychopath. Not all narcissists are there enjoying the suffering and the pain. What narcissists enjoy is the mask they've created, the illusion that he's a good guy, and if that means that it hurts you, oh well. Because the main piece is that it doesn't hurt him. Not a lot of narcissists are out there being like, let me destroy you and let me make your life miserable because I don't like you, because you're a bad person. They're like, how do I make myself be the best person ever? How do I keep the mask of how I want it to look like? Oh, and if that means I hurt you in the process, that's okay because at least I'm not getting hurt. That's the piece a lot of times people confuse. A lot of times narcissists are not specifically targeting you. They're targeting how they want to live. They're targeting their own ego and pumping themselves up, and you're a casualty in that piece. Hopefully that makes sense. But everything comes back to the narcissist. I can't wait to talk to you. My son tricked me once and I had to readjust to humor, so I told him to stop looking at his sister and look out the window, look for money, and he did find money. Okay, that's very interesting. I'm a little confused about that. But anyways, Stacy, if you want to talk, would love to talk. You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Be able to watch a video, fill out application so I know about you, and us sit down and have a conversation. Do narcissists ever change for the better? I think I answered this. If they're willing to be honest, vulnerable, and show the consistency in it. Otherwise, no. Why do narcissists hate empaths? They don't. It doesn't have anything to do with empaths, right? Again, you might have put that in when I was going on this little rant that I did earlier about empaths. Do narcissists really start a relationship with the intention to destroy the other person? No, they start the relationship hoping that they can actually get away with it. And as a result, they can't because they're not willing to be vulnerable and be deep. And as a result, when someone gets too close, a lot of times they're pushing the other person away and you become a casualty of the narcissist focusing on himself. A lot of times it's not an intentional piece. And this is the piece where everybody gets like, oh, but I don't want to hear that. It's not always like sociopath, psychopath, 100%. But a lot of times a narcissist is not intentionally being like, woke up today and I was thinking, how do I abuse my partner the best way? They're not always doing that. They're like, woke up today, how can I be the best person ever? Oh, maybe if I put that person down, I'll feel a bit better about myself. Let's do that. Do you see what I mean? It's all about the narcissist. It's really ironic because a lot of times people are so worried about what the narcissist is thinking about them when the narcissist couldn't give a shit about what he thinks about you. All he's thinking about is about himself, and you're just a casualty of that. Not every narcissist hate empaths, but probably jealousy. Yeah, it's not even about empaths. A narcissist is so mean and hateful to people they don't care about anybody but themselves. I walked away 8 months ago. I've got no contact. I'm free, but often wonder if she completed a party after 10 years, multiple times getting back together, doing the same thing. Do narcissists ever change for the better? British, you put this in 3 times. I've answered it. I had a question about my 5-year-old daughter. Thank you for taking the time to answer every question. I try. I get behind. Isabel would definitely love to help you if I can inside of this. Just go to rawmotivations.com. Would love to be able to talk to you. There's an opportunity for you to book a call for us to walk through where you're at, see if it's a good fit to be able to help you heal. We care if they are important functionally to us. I don't know what that. Do you do calls with people who have a trauma bond with someone that is not a narcissist? Yeah, we can still fix that too. Trauma bond works the same way no matter what, and the healing process is exactly the same. So yeah, 100%, that would easily work. He had the convenience of living at a distance. He never called me from the house, always on the road or drive through the parking lot. Am I crazy to be thinking he had a wife partner? No, sounds on track. Why do narcissists treat family behind closed doors bad and people go outside? Is all because the mask is how they want to be perceived. Not every narcissist does that. I have no clue what this is talking about because I'm like behind the comments. I was with a narcissist for 16 years, been free for 4. Awesome. I'm glad to be able to hear that. That's hard for a lot of people to hear. I divorced my narcissistic husband. Best thing I ever did. What are we missing? Are we outnumbered? What do you mean missing? What are you missing? What are you asking? I've just looked at your website and noticed it's focused on helping women. Men are victims too. 100%. Totally get that. I have a decent amount of men who have come through my Survivor to Thriver challenge. But as far as my intensives, I don't have an intensive focused on helping men that have been with female partners. Let's lay it out really clear. I have a Survivor to Thriver challenge, and I still have not had a man who's been abused by a woman finish the challenge. So as a result, I've neglected to make anything larger than a 395 4-month, like 2 months challenge, 6 weeks, 6 group coaching calls, like 30 benchmarks, lots of lessons, tons of tools. I haven't made anything more than that because I never have a guy finish. Because the majority of guys that have been abused by a woman don't do shit for their healing, but they want to sit in it and be a victim for such a long period of time. And the victim piece irks the shit out of me because a person has to come to me saying, hey, I no longer want to be this. I want to heal. And there's a shift mentally. Doesn't mean that something bad hasn't happened to them, but it means they're no longer living in victimhood. So if you're a guy watching this and you've been abused by a narcissistic woman, go to my website and go to the program, which is Survivor to Thriver. You make it through that, we can have a conversation. If you don't, well, you'd be in a long line of other guys that have not made it through because they want to stay in a victimhood and they're not willing to actually take the tools to heal and move forward. A lot of women have, which is why it's geared towards women and because women normally reach out. I do have narcissistic men that I work with inside of a men's group, but that's what I work with. So don't typically work with narcissistic females and don't work with males that have been abused because so far, in all my experiences with those two parties, they don't do the work. That's all I got. What specific type of childhood trauma do you think a male covert narcissist endured? That question has 100 different answers. So it could be mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually. Like there's a lot of different pieces that could happen. Could just be growing up and not learning how to be able to process guilt and shame in a healthy way. So as a result, they're always running away from it. There's a million different examples and reasons for that. So happy that your live stream came up randomly. Now I've subscribed. Welcome. Glad that you're here. Why are narcissists so double standard, meaning they will flip what they do? And when you show that they don't care, they keep coming around and around like a roller coaster. They're double standard because they matter more than you. You don't matter than to him. Right? So it's a piece of like, my standards matter, but your standards don't because I'm the most important person in the world and you're not. I'm saying that because like this is like weird and it's like hard for me to be able to like communicate it, but that's like how it happens in the head. Does it happen that exact way? No, because I'm trying to slow it down so it makes sense, but that's how it happens. So British SI, like if that's a piece, that's exactly what you want. Go to realmotivations.com/survivor. That's the Survivor to Thriver challenge. Inside of that, with guys that have been with a female narcissist, I don't think I've had any finish. The challenge is great. The challenge is transformational. The challenge has the majority of women that come through it have already, like by the time they finish, they've broken the trauma bond, they've been transformed. People ask me, they're like, what's your success rate? And I'm like, I haven't had anybody who's finished it that hasn't been transformed. But the piece that's hardest for people to understand is it's like you go to a gym and you hire a trainer and then you don't go to the gym, or you go to the gym and you expect the trainer to pick up the weights, but you don't pick up the weights. That's what I see. Right? So the people that show up, do the work, and show up and use the tools and get transformation. They get healing every single time. The people that don't, or the people that stay in this place of like, well, I don't want to be honest, I don't want to deal with the feelings, I don't want to like communicate, don't get the healing. And that's like just the hardest reality, because it's so weird inside the healing space is you either have people that do shit or you have people that don't. And that's the piece is like people are like, but I want to like sit in the feelings, work through it. That's great. We have a process that you step into the feelings, you step into the pain, you step back out. Because my job as a coach is to help you take action, not to just sit in the shit and feel bad about yourself. Will I work with your feelings? Will I hold space? 100%. Because you've been in an abusive relationship. You've had trauma, right? I would be an idiot to step in and be like, oh, you had trauma, get over it. That's not helpful. But what is less helpful, I can't even think of the right words. What is less helpful is you to show up to a coaching call, you to show up to a therapist and just keep reliving and rehashing the same exact shit and you never take action, you never move forward. That's worst, okay? If it's reasonable, you price, be the first to finish, 100% guaranteed. So British SI, it's $395, so it's $395, or you can break it up in 2 payments of $197. Inside of that, you get access to the app and the tools that we use, the community that we have. You get access for 2 months. You also have 6 group coaching calls that you have access to when you're working with us. Basically, it comes out to 8 because you have access for 2 months anyways. But 6 group coaching calls where we walk you through. You have access to 30 benchmarks that typically have anywhere from 3 to 5 lessons underneath that are audio, video, text, and then assignments. And then we also give you tools that you're going to use on a day-to-day basis of how to help you actually rewire the mindset, eradicate the triggers, let go of the things that are holding you hostage so you can actually move forward. That's it. There's no pitch, like there's no piece of like, oh, you should do it or you shouldn't. This is what it does, and this is what it's proved to do with hundreds of people before you. If that's something you're looking for, go to realmotivations.com/survivor, and we'd love to be able to help you move forward. Can both partners participate? Stacy, can you ask that longer? Participate in what? Are you talking about in the healing process? Yeah, I've had guys and gals, like I've had the husband and wife be in both of my intensives. One of them typically does not do the work. That's why the only person that can heal and grow and change is you that show up. I've worked with a lot of different couples. Typically what happens, and this is both ways, like I would say it's probably 50-50. Narcissist and the survivor. 50-50. One, the narcissist, like 50% of the narcissists will do the work, and 50% of the narcissists won't do the work. 50% of the survivors will do the work, 50% won't do the work. As far as like couples. So I've seen guys and gals come in and the guy gets a lot of growth and development and she doesn't do anything. She never heals. And I've seen the gal do a lot of growth and development. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't heal. Right? So there's a lot of different pieces that I've seen inside of that. The biggest thing I would say is like, if you're in the healing space and healing process, like step into working with me, step into Survivor to Thriver, learn how it actually works. If it's a place that he's actually open and willing to talk about it, then have him schedule a call with me. I'll sniff it out really quick. I don't make the offer to everybody. If I feel like he's just bullshitting me, I'm like, okay, don't really care, don't really need you in the group, because you're gonna pull the group down if you're not willing to actually work on this and be honest about what's going on. All right. Do narcissists ever change? Not without honesty, therapy, and God. Why do narcissists hurt your animals when mad at you? They'll hurt anything when they're mad at you. It doesn't really matter. Why did my ex covert narcissist not able to do sex? My immediate thought is probably getting it elsewhere. Thank you for answering my previous question. I'm just curious how you realized you were a narcissist. You seem very self-aware. Is that normal for a narcissist? One, it's not typically normal for one to admit that they're a narcissist. Two, there's a lot of narcissists that are aware and just don't care. 3, if you want to hear long frame version of my origin story, if you go to Real and Raw with Ben Taylor, it's a podcast, Real and Raw with Ben Taylor, and you look for the episode that says my origin story, I actually walk through the whole piece so you can understand kind of step by step of where I am at now, where I used to be, where I'm at now. Okay. Why won't a covert narcissist not call me by my name? How do you deal with covert narcissist that wants to control the conversation and wants to talk for long hours? You set healthy boundaries and oftentimes you walk away. Like, what's the point of being with someone if all they want to do is talk about themselves? It's pointless. Started watching your videos while I'm with my soon-to-be ex-husband. I finally understood what was happening, so I filed for divorce. 10 months, no contact. You saved my life. Hey, that's great. I'm glad to be able to hear that. Wherever you're at in the healing process, would love to hear from you. Love to help you move forward inside of that. I'm glad that you're free. Sorry for the question. Just wanted to be stupid, low key, but it's the truth. I don't know what question. Oh, that question. Okay. British says, yeah, I answered that one. What to do when narcissists teach children to be like him with the intention of hurting me? Heal yourself. Like, this is the hardest piece that it's the hardest piece, especially for, love y'all, but like, it's the hardest piece for moms to get through their heads because they want to fix and they want to heal the kids. And when it comes down to it, you can't. You can't fix him. You can't fix the kids. The only person that you can heal, the only person that you can transform is yourself. When the kids see you showing up different, not triggered, not emotionally reacting, not reactive abuse, not trauma bonded, not stuck, having healthy boundaries, when they see you in a healthy spot, they start to notice that something is different. The problem is the majority of times, women that have kids, get it, because you love your kids, you will focus so much time and attention on healing the kids and so little attention on you. The reason why I know this is because you're with a narcissist, you're in a toxic relationship, which means your needs don't matter, your emotions don't matter. Typically your self-care, your self-esteem, your self-worth is all gone to the gutter, and you're the last thing to think about. You're the last person you would ever dream about spending time and energy because you've been trained to do that. You've been subconsciously programmed even from the guy in your life. But the problem is the kids see that. The kids understand that. The kids know mom doesn't take care of herself. Mom doesn't have boundaries. Mom doesn't respect herself because she doesn't have boundaries. And as a result, they're not attracted to live that same life. This is what I help people heal. Break the trauma bond, get rid of the triggers, establish their life with clarity and confidence so they can make decisions in certainty. If you're in a toxic relationship and you're trying to figure out what to do, how to break the trauma bond, what that actually means, then go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. I help liberate women from toxic relationships. It doesn't matter if you're in the relationship or if you're out. You can still be trauma bonded. You can still be stuck. You don't have to wait to leave to heal. He said I was the first person he loved, ever dated, and had a crush on. Do you think he was lying? Probably he was just saying it to make you feel that way, to give you that high. So you'd always be like, oh my gosh, I was the best one. No, he's probably just selling you a story so you stay stuck. And is it common? Yeah, it's common to be able to sell a story like that. What percentage of narcissists we say are narcissistic because of being spoiled, put on a pedestal? I would think very low. I would probably go on the low side. I don't know like a percentage of this. Let's see. Someone said, get off this. It's bullshit. Okay, that's nice. Welcome to the channel. You're monetizing a cure for people's emotional distress feels gross. So Nick, I'm not monetizing a cure for the narcissist because he has to be willing to do the work. And I'm not monetizing a cure for people's emotional distress. I'm offering to be able to show them step-by-step process to heal the trauma bond. My wife's like snickering like over here. What? Do you have a thought you want to share?
No, I'm good.
She's in a mood. She's like, if she says something, she's just going to come at you and like piss you off. Not that I really care, but.
No.
What?
It's just,
She's holding her tongue because she doesn't want to call you an idiot, basically. Do you think people actually know they're narcissists? I think they know that something's different or something's weird, and they're not willing to actually confront it and deal with the shame that's inside. Do you think you could change? Yes, because I have changed over the past 5 years, 100%. How to tell my mom, how to tell if I would go with if my mom is a narcissist, I would look up the 9 diagnostic traits, and I would start going through those to be able to see. I have several narcissistic traits that I'm working my ass off about. He has no idea. I'm protecting him from me. I could have destroyed him. It's great if you're working on it, because if you see it and you acknowledge it, you need to be able to work on it and be able to work on you. Why is it strong, beautiful women end up with narcissistic men? What's the problem? Ego? Not necessarily. And I've seen it doesn't have a specific type. Strong, beautiful women, that might be your frame. I don't always see every single aspect. There's millions of different people that get stuck in toxic relationships. Hands down, the biggest traits I always see, people that don't have boundaries and have no clue how to force them, and people that don't know who they are. Two things. Everybody hates that when I say that because nobody wants to admit that that's how they were or what got them off track. But that typically is the two biggest things that I see. People that doesn't have healthy boundaries means they typically don't have healthy respect for themselves, or they believe something deep down, self-esteem, self-worth isn't there where it should be, and he pulls off of that. What if your ex-wife still hasn't left? You might have to go through like legal pieces. Is it only for women survivors or does it help men survivors as well? The program that I have called Survivor to Thriver, you can go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. I've had men go through that as well. But how I was mentioning before to British most of the time I do not have men that actually finish the course. They want to stay in victim mode and they're not willing to actually do the work. I'd love to hear your wife. She's off tonight, but you can hear on our podcast, which is called Trauma, Drama, and Life. We're working on season 3 right now, but we've got season 1 and season 2 up, talking more about just everything that happened, all of the trauma, all the pieces. Now we're stepping into season 3. That's more fun, more like up to date on life and kind of like what's going on. I said they accuse things that they're not doing because they are 100% lack of boundaries. True. This dude is investing a lot of time and work into helping people see clear. Do you call out the doctors the same way? Could doctors work for free? I know, right? People always want to bring up stuff like that. People are arguing or fighting are narcissists. How act covert narcissist kind? I don't understand that question, so you're going to have to rephrase that as a question. He turned his family against me. They stopped speaking to me. I still love them. What do I do? If they turned away from you, that means they were never in your corner to start off with. If they were able to turn just by him talking and they never came to talk to you, they were never in your corner to start off with. You can still love them and not be with them. You can still love them and not be around them. Any advice I'm dealing with work bullies? It could be going to a superior. It could be setting healthy boundaries. There's a couple different things inside there. I don't deal with a ton of that inside of the workplace, so that's not a piece I typically talk about. 3 of your questions, appreciate it. What kind of childhood experience create narcissists? A lot of different pieces inside of that. If you boil all of it down, it's typically an aspect where it's an improper view or improper working through of dealing with guilt and shame. So as a result, it continues to spill out in multiple ways. You can have that show up in multiple different aspects of abuse and trauma and all different types of things. That doesn't mean that he stays a victim or leaves him in victim mode, where he's going to play that, right? But typically you'll have a piece that it has to do with shame, because narcissists are shame avoidant. My boyfriend took all things in my car and left behind my back. I'm traumatized. Inside of that, like, he's gonna do a lot of things to be able to break you down, right? You have to understand that is what he's trying to do. You're the one that's allowed to be able to say, I'm going to be broken or I'm going to heal. You can flip it back on you and have you actually take charge of your own life, your own direction. So Don, inside of that, would love to talk to you. You can go to rawmotivations.com just to be able to have a consult for us to be able to sit down and talk and be able to see what's going on. The problem is that the trauma and the fact that the narcissist broke you in every aspect. I don't know what this is going to, sorry. Why does an ex from many years ago still want to hurt you through the kids? Because you won't communicate with them. Power and control. They don't have it over you. So you're going to use the kids to try to get at you to make sure that you still feel bad, and eventually you reach out. Do narcissists typically enjoy the thrill of not getting caught? Yes, that would be a high, just like a high of watching a movie where people don't get caught. It's the same aspect. Leave you broken so you don't have any money for these courses. So we offer a lot of things, even all the way down to like $7 and a free ebook. There's a lot of different pieces. I record everything, and I also have crap ton of content on YouTube, like a lot of videos that if people would actually watch and go through in a place of like, let me actually take notes and actually do what he's saying. I've talked through different pieces that are inside our courses. Why people get courses is because they're not willing to actually do stuff on their own, and because they typically don't have the accountability or the community to help uphold them or keep them on track. My narcissist new supply have no boundaries. They look at it this way. They end up with people who will let them do whatever, 100%. My husband is, I see the hurt and trauma behind it. That's why I stay. How do I get him to wake up to his healing, his past? He says, I think I know everything and make stuff up when I address it. So here's what I need you to hear loud and clear. 1, it's not your job to heal him. 2, you can't force him to heal. 3, you can't love him enough to make him heal. If you really want to help your husband, if you really, really, really want to help your husband, heal yourself. You are the only person that can transform. You are the only person right now in this moment that can heal. You and me that are talking right now. You are the only person. But when you choose not to, and you choose to focus on him, it's actually selfish. Because you want him to heal so that you can have a better life. Versus if you would heal, you could weather anything and you could figure out the right solution and the right step that might be to walk away because he's not willing to invest time and energy in himself. I hesitated to say that because I knew people aren't going to like it. And I was like, that's going to be hard to say. But I had to say it because it was true. How important is money for you? More important than your own kids if you had to choose? Definitely not more important than my kids. Subsequently, when you get back on track, making money and getting your life on track, it's too late. There's a lot of people that are back on track. The only way I can protect myself recording it all. How do you stop supporting someone that is addicted to the narcissistic abuse? You have to have healthy boundaries. You might have to cut a person off. Sometimes a piece of like you supporting them ends up being like enabling. There is a person that has messaged my wife for probably like 2 years straight and is still in victim mode and won't get out of it. And it's hard because my wife has to like set boundaries and be like, hey, you've messaged me about the same stuff over and over and over again. You're still not healed and you're still not doing anything about it. Like, I can't help you. Like, there's nothing a person can do if they want to stay stuck in the victim mindset. After all the stages, he is acting very kind. I think he's lying. How covert narcissist is acting? Who are you? 100%. How do I find you? Go to rawmotivations.com. rawmotivations.com. You can do rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, or there's a breakthrough call for women there. We can be able to schedule a call and be able to talk. I think my daughter's a narcissist. I love her so much. How do I maintain a healthy relationship with her? Boundaries, facts, BIF method, brief, informative, friendly, and firm, typically used in co-parenting, parallel parenting, but you could use that with a daughter as well. Are you a grandiose narc? I was more grandiose in the workplace and more covert just in regular life. Why was the narcissist stalking me when we were together when nothing is wrong with the relationship? Power and control. He thinks if he's stalking you, he has more control, more power over you. Doesn't 100% make logical sense, but that's kind of what it is. Trying fights happen when the kids get attacked. Yes, true, no boundaries, and you don't know who you are, 100%. Narcissists come from being abused as a kid as well. Yes, not all of it though. So yes, there's a lot of people that want to fight the whole road of like genetics. I haven't touched on that yet. There's some pieces that I'm still looking into and understanding about that too. The more healing I do and walk away becomes danger, now what? So with the walk away becomes danger, like first you have to have the confidence and the clarity and the certainty to be able to walk away. And that clarity gives you the path to be able to understand how to walk away in a safe way, right? How to be out of the house when he's served, how to move in with someone, how to build an exit plan. All of those things have to happen. And oftentimes they can't happen if you're still so addicted to the guy that you can't sit back and actually work on a plan. Thank you so much for answering the question about children. I'm doing what you said though. It's tough, 100%. You can't be genuinely happy around a narcissist. You can't be genuinely happy around abuse, for sure. This is my first live vid thing. Absolutely. Stacey, would love to talk to you. If you haven't reached out, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Let's sit down and have an appointment this week. Just where you're at, what's going on to help build a plan for you. What happens inside of an appointment that I run is we take some time to be able to figure out where you are. Then we talk about where you want to go. And we talk about the challenges and the hurdles in between. Literally, we're going to get on call. I'll like tell you this. Okay. And inside of that, if it ends up being a good fit for us to talk and you to work with me, then I'll open up the gate and talk to you about, hey, I'll make you an offer of like, this would be the right path for you. If not, then you walk away with us having things written down and you actually walk away with a plan in front of you. Right? So it's a win-win no matter what. Like the whole goal is to be able to help people wake up to the reality of where they currently are. Most people do not realize this until we have it all written down. They're like, oh, didn't realize how much it's actually affected me. I need to do something about it. Because if you don't wake up to the reality, you're not going to do anything. Then you have to see what you actually want in life, which most people do not know. They simply know what they don't want, and they're never allowed to think about what they want because they've been conditioned by the narcissist to not think about what they want. And then we have to talk about what's in between. What needs to shift and change for you to actually show up as the woman on the right-hand side of the page. We write all this out. That's what we do together. We co-create this whole plan and journey to help you heal. Why was the narcissist watching every move when I believe the relationship and addiction was nothing wrong? When he confronted me and told he was watching me, again, a lot of that is power and control. There's different pieces behind it, but power and control. What would make an obsessive narcissist stalker ex suddenly go quiet? I know you don't have a crystal ball. I don't. And get into his head, but I'm wondering if I could celebrate or if he's brewing trouble. There's so many pieces in front of that. So like the crystal ball doesn't work because I don't know the pieces in front of it. That's really hard. That's really hard to be able to say. If he goes quiet, there could be a piece that he moved on. That's true. The other piece is it could be brewing trouble. There could be a piece, but that depends on how he's shown up in the past, right? If he's moved on to other people before and then he's still come back and stalked you, he might be distracted with a new person. If it's been something where he's like constantly oscillated back and forth to try to have power and control over you, right? And it's never been a piece where he's fully detached, then it might just be brewing to try to figure out what's the next attack, right? How do you not call a covert narcissist and just, she's a nurse and sees everyone other than here unless you're a doctor, etc. I don't know what that question is. Why do I always attract narcissists? Again, that typically goes back to the popular ones, which is no boundaries and don't know who you are. It's the hardest one for people to accept, the hardest one to realize, but every time I see this, continue to see this over and over. How do you not call out covert narcissists? How do you not call them out? You don't call them out. Like, I don't know what you're asking inside of there. I'm sorry. How to be sure if a guy you're dating is actually a narcissist? He got some grandiose narcissistic traits, but overall he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He just talks about himself a lot. Do you want to be married to a guy that talks about himself a lot, or do you want to actually have a healthy relationship going back and forth where you're emotionally safe? At the end of the day, the label doesn't matter. Too many people get stuck on the label. What matters is what's demonstrated. Abuse, not abuse. How is he treating you? How is he showing up? All this stuff. Why is the rage so brutal? My ex told me my dad deserved it. He was a victim of homicide years ago. Nothing was off limits when he was angry. Why did they cut so deep? Frenzied mind. They cut so deep because they don't want to deal with themselves. Like your pain brings out their own shame, and as a result, it's like, let me destroy that, because if I destroy that, then I don't have to feel that. A lot of them are running away from feelings. He keeps calling, I don't answer. He keeps texting, I don't look at the text messages. I would go ahead and block him. Like, go ahead and block him so that he doesn't have any access to you. Your goal here in doing this is to get chicks. We know your game and have a nice try. So that's can you raise your hand over there? Raise your hand.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. That's my wife over there, right? Yeah. No, you can't see her. She's like sitting on the couch. I was like, that's my wife over there. So the goal on here is not to get chicks. But if you want, you can keep leaving stupid ass comments in my chat and I'll block you because you're an idiot if you just come on here and you think you know what you're talking about. Welcome to the channel. Why do they want you, I love people like that. Why do they want you to self-deny by pretending everything they said and did, invited him to watch. Why do they want to self-deny by pretending everything they said and did never happened? Why do they want you to self-deny? The self-deny piece has me like stuck, but I'm going to go with it a little bit. So a lot of times in this aspect, we've been talking about gaslighting, right? The whole piece inside of it is he wants to gaslight you to believe his version of reality, right? A narcissist is gaslighting so you don't believe what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, but you believe what he's telling you. This is the cognitive dissonance. This is what leaves you stuck in a trauma bond. Cognitive dissonance is massive inside of a trauma bond. Do you believe his words or do you believe his actions? Do you believe that he says he loves you while he keeps abusing you, right? The whole goal is that you don't believe anything, you just believe yourself. Why does he always talk about his ex and every time he hurts me, he calls it a joke? Two really good questions, okay? One, he's always talking about his ex to slowly, subconsciously program you of what to do and what not to do. My ex always did this and it was amazing. Now you know what you're supposed to do. My ex always did this. She was the worst. I hated it when she did this. Now you know what not to do. Slowly, subconsciously programming you of what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And every time he hurts you, calls you a joke, what that is doing is that's lowering, wrong word. It's raising your pain tolerance, right? So, it'd be like he like pokes you. And you're like, ow, that hurt. He's like, it's just a joke. So he pokes you again, and you're like, ow, that hurt. And he's like, it's just a joke. After a while, he can start poking you, and you're like, okay, it's not that bad. And then he starts slapping you, right? And then you're like, ow, that hurt. And he's like, it's just a joke. And then he starts slapping you. You're like, ow, that hurt. And over a period of time, you're like, oh, well, I guess it was just a joke, right? He's conditioning you. That's all the joke piece is just a condition. Those are two really powerful questions. If everybody like saw that and understood that, they'd be able to shift their frame of where they are, right? If you're constantly getting hurt and abused and told that it's just a joke, know that the person you're with is subconsciously conditioning you to accept more, which means it's not going to stop. It's only going to get worse, which means run. Okay. And then the other piece you said of like talking about the ex, that is another way of conditioning you. It's training you. Right? He's literally training you of like, this is how I want you to act or not act based on that other one. All right. I think this is a wonderful live chat that you're helping so many people that need to hear the truth, and it's a blessing from God, really. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. 9 years, he cheated the whole time, pulled the same shit 3 times now. So Angel, how long are you going to stay? Lost 2 babies, miscarriage, you blame me, cheated the whole 9 years. I'm so sorry about that. We lost one inside of all that. I didn't blame her for it, but we did lose one inside of that. This piece, I'm trying to leave. Okay. Would love to talk to you inside of this, because if you're in this, you've got a whole lot of shame, blame, guilt, and a lot of stuff that's not yours to carry that you're probably carrying here. Yeah, especially all that. It's not your fault, 100%. I don't know for sure, so take this with a grain of salt, and I would hate to speak into this because it's really, really touchy subject, and I get it. But inside of all of this, a lot of times that piece of even losing the kids probably was because of him. Because you had so much stress, you had so much anxiety, you had so much trauma, oftentimes that can transmute to the kids. I say that like it's very, very like weighty subject to even talk about. So I try to say it like as slow as possible and just like giving you as grace as possible, because it's not your fault at all. He doesn't care. Yeah. Let's talk. Go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. I'm gonna book a call this week and let's talk. I'd love to be able to help you just where you're at. Okay. We can build a plan. We can walk through where you're at and how to help you move forward. How should I you act near a covert malignant narcissist without them knowing that I know they're a covert narcissist? I think you keep asking some of these questions and I just don't understand what you're trying to do. Like, what do you want out of this? What's the end result? Like, you want to keep a certain facade so you can be around this person even though you know what they are? Or like, what's the end goal? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask. Do you have to force yourself to be empathetic, or how does that work? Logically, no. Emotionally at times, yes, but also to the same, like, I connect differently, right? Like, I'm more activated with emotions with music than I am with people or with someone else crying or something like that. Like, if someone else is crying, I'm not the first one to cry. If there's like something that's happening like emotionally and there's like music tied to it, I might tear up. And that's happened way more. So like you could count on like maybe one hand, right? The times I cried, well, yeah, probably not even one hand. The times I cried in like our first like 6-7 years of marriage, right? And even since then, like since I've been working myself, there's like massive amounts of crying that's happened. Not because, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, no, not because of that. Because of like different emotions that have been unlocked I've been working through. Angel of the money piece is the main problem. Go to escapetoxicity.com. It's a $7 challenge. Right? It's a piece that we're looking at. How do we actually help get you connected to a community? How do we actually help you see some tools? How do we actually see like some step-by-step process to actually help you get free? Did the same. He used to tease me, basically put me down and pointing out the flaws, saying he was just joking. Now I see it for what it was and attempt to break my confidence in myself, 100%. Angel miscarried too and was blamed for it. He said, how could you do this to me? And again, I'm so sorry you're going through this, but know that you're not alone. I don't know your name, but Crazy Cat Lady, like, thanks so much for saying that and just supporting her. I'm undergoing divorce with a narcissist who won't apologize after hitting me to the point of concussion. He still won't apologize. Yeah, no, it's awful. How can I get in contact with you by telephone? I need your help immensely. I do everything through Zoom and you book everything through my website. So rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. That's how I work with people. Why do they linger in your mind long after they're gone? That is called a trauma bond. And until the trauma bond is broken, until it's actually rewired and you're actually like disconnecting all the lies that they told you and all the lies that you believe from him, it's rumination. It'll stay in your head a long time. So inside of this, like, that's what I do, is I actually help people break the trauma bond. Visually, if you think about it, here I have like a cord here. It's a tiny cord, but we'll use this, okay? I have a little cord. Okay, if you think about this visually for a moment, a trauma bond, this is like off the books, right, of what it would actually be. But a trauma bond is built up of a lot of different things. I teach it with hope and potential, cognitive dissonance, intermittent reinforcement. But how it would look if we talked about it visually, okay? The guy in your life, he has this cord, he has this rope, right? And what he has is one hand, he's got the hold of the rope. The other hand, he's got a hold of a rope. And he takes his rope and he puts it around you, right? And so at this point, he's got both pieces. I'm trying to get in the camera. He's got both pieces of the rope coming back to him. It's a small rope. Both pieces of the rope coming back to him, and it's around you. It's leaving you stuck, right? So every time you try to leave, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get free. But you can't get free because he's got this lie, this story, subconscious program he's put around you. But the problem is he doesn't just have one. He's got hundreds of these. because he's trained you for such a long period of time to think that you're not good enough, to think that you're not worthy, to think that no one's ever going to find, like, you're never going to find love with someone else, that he was the best thing ever. You're never going to get out of this because, like, who's going to love a single mom with kids, right? He's going to program all of these things, all of these, like, bullshit answers into your subconscious so that you can't actually leave. So what we do inside of all the programs is we work on actually teaching you and showing you a step-by-step process of how you can actually take this cord and how you can actually see it for what it actually is, not just the feelings that are leaving you stuck, but actually get down to the story that he's telling you and how you can actually break it. So he doesn't have a hold on you anymore. And we teach you how to do this with 1 out of 1,000. Then we teach you how to do it with the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Then you start clearing them out like 2 at a time, 3 at a time, 5 at a time. And all of a sudden your healing starts to accelerate because when you show up with consistency, using the tools and the systems that we provide, you start to break the trauma bond completely. When people come out of a lot of my programs, they've broken the trauma bond completely and fully. They could look at the person and not even want to go back because they've shifted so much. They're like, I don't even want this guy. I can't help but still have feelings for a narcissist and only think of the good times and shut off the rubbish. Is that normal? Yeah, that's normal. That's part of the trauma bond. And it's okay to think of the good times. Start looking at the good times of what you experienced versus it being tied to that person. Because while the good times were with that person was also lying or cheating on you. The person was also destroying you on the inside. So was it actually a good time? No, it was just helping you get addicted to them, helping you actually feel like it was a good time when in reality, it was just further trapping you. All right, I'm super behind on comments, so we're going to skip through some of these. I think I'm no longer addicted to him, but I now badly want karma to bite him in the ass. I don't want to give him any more of my energy, but I can't help it. So what I would say is you're still trauma bonded because you can't mentally and emotionally release him. He's still living rent-free in your mind, which means you're still addicted. Or if you're indifferent to him, then I rest my case. But if you're not indifferent to him and he's still taking up free real estate in your mind, you still have a trauma bond, you're still addicted, you still have healing that needs to happen because you haven't released it. You haven't gotten rid of it. He's still a piece there. Now, I get it if you want him to have karma. Great. But the piece inside of this is you'll focus so much on when will he get his karma. My focus is when will you get your healing. Because healing for me means you stand up in confidence, clarity, you have certainty inside your decisions, and the guy in your life that caused all this abuse, you're indifferent to. Because you don't even care about any more of where he's at because you love your life so much of how you've actually grown and developed. That's the biggest thing. Mentally still love him still, that's the trauma bond. Are you actually an NPD? That's what my therapist said, and that's what we went through, and you could ask my wife. Because a lot of times people are like, you don't seem like one anymore. Yeah, because there's been a lot of time investment and healing in this process. If, because they're human, like me, isn't your answer motivation for why one should respect others, what is or could be a narcissist's reason for appearing to care about the feelings of others? Power and control, manipulation. The only reason why a narcissist is going to care about another person's emotions is if there's something in it for them. Why does it seem like narcissism became so prevalent to the pandemic and to present date? One, because people had to start staying home with all the abusive assholes and they couldn't live separate lives. They were like smacked with the reality of like, oh, this guy actually isn't the best thing ever because we have to spend more time together. And two, just rise of social media and people are actually talking about it. I've been watching your videos for a little while now, but this is the first time catching live. Here to listen. Great. Ask any questions if you want. Did you do EMDR therapy? Yes. Did about 6 months of that. What did you do to truly change, or is it honestly mostly cognitive changes? A ton of different things. I've been involved in lots of different types of therapies, different coaching programs, invested a ton of time, money. God is a huge part. Therapy is a massive part. Process that we teach everybody inside all of our programs, which is called stacking, which is learning how to be able to rewire the mindset. Has therapy modalities, different steps emotionally from like Byron Katie, different pieces of helping flip the story. So you no longer are the victim to the story, but you actually write the story. You're able to shift your mindset. Thank you for your direct answers. Appreciate it. I'm with a narcissist, tells me how to get out of the relationship. I'm with a narcissist, tell me how to get out of the relationship since you are one. That's a lot of what we focus on in helping people break out of the relationship. Like you have to be able to break the trauma bond mentally and emotionally first, otherwise it's not going to change. How do you change, or do you force yourself to care about others around you? Do you really feel any remorse, or if you're pretending? Now, I feel remorse of what I've done. The guilt and the shame are the things I was running away from and that I would never even allow myself to feel because I didn't want to feel the guilt and shame. So I box it up, compartmentalize it, push it to the side. But yeah. If you want to know more about my story, you can actually go to Real and Raw with Ben Taylor. That's the podcast, Real and Raw with Ben Taylor. I do weekly podcasts on that that are not always like narcissistic based, but inside that I have an episode that's called My Origin Story that talks about it. How can I help break the cognitive dissonance and the delusional crap? He projects the crap his mom does onto him and appears to truly believe it. So, Firewoman 13, like one would love to be able to help you inside of that. That's what we teach inside of everything. But when we talk about this piece of breaking the cognitive dissonance, okay? The cognitive dissonance, so break it down really quick for everybody. Cognitive dissonance is when there's two opposing thoughts that you're holding at the same time, and typically you come up with a third thought that makes it okay, right? So you're in an abusive relationship, you know it's an abusive relationship, but you're like, well, it's not that bad. You come up with a third story. And so what I mean inside of this is you'll have a piece where he says he loves you, but he acts abusive. And you're like, well, he's just immature. He just has ADHD. He's just stressed. He's just struggling. You'll come up with a third story to justify staying and living in the shit. That's it. Okay? So when we're dealing with the cognitive dissonance piece, cognitive dissonance is all rolled up into the trauma bond. When we're dealing with that, what we have to help you see, first off, is we have to help you get down to the story you're telling yourself. We walk people through a process called the freedom formula, which if you listen carefully or if you write this down, but the freedom formula is first identifying one trigger, just one. You've got millions of them, get it? Everybody does, but we have to deal one at a time until you get used to this. We find one trigger. Underneath that trigger, we write down all the emotions that are associated with that trigger. Typically using like emotions wheel, so you have like a pie slice. You figure out I'm angry, and then you stick inside that pie slice and you write down all the emotions. Then you go through and you sit with that trigger, you sit with all the emotions, you're like, okay, what are the top three? Narrow down the top three. Then you put those into what we call feeling statements. I feel angry because he left. I feel upset because this happened. I feel embarrassed, whatever it might be, right? So you use the emotion, I feel, and then you put in the emotion word because, and you finish off the sentence. You write down those three, you read all three out loud, and you narrow it down to one. Then you sit with the trigger, the emotion, the feeling statement. Now you've got one of each, right? They all line up. You sit with it, you feel it, you think through it to be able to see what emotionally in this moment, what's the emotional story that I'm telling myself. We do this in sequence because people are like, oh, I know the story. Whenever someone knows the story, they have no clue what they're talking about. Like, I've done this process countless times. Someone's like, I know the story I'm telling myself. It's this. And then we're like, okay, what's the trigger? What's the emotion? What's the feeling statement? It's completely different every single time. Because what's underneath is subconscious programming. Then until we actually get down to that, nothing changes. That's all the emotional side. You can't bring logic into it. You just have to sit with the emotion, sit in the pain, sit in the feelings of it, and then we flip it. We're like, okay, what are the facts? Evidence, demonstrate, like undeniable. And people are like, well, I don't know the facts. Yeah, you do know the facts of how he's been treating you. You have the evidence of how he's been showing up. You have the demonstration of what he's been saying and doing on a day-to-day basis. You have more than enough facts because it's how he's showing up. It's how he's treating you. It's how it's affecting you. So we write down all the facts and we look, do the facts prove or deny the emotional story that you created? You're like, well, no, it denies it. Okay, then what would be the new story that we have to write based on the facts that actually disproves the old story, and you replace it. Then you go through the next week, memorize, review, resetting, like rewiring. This is like the manual rewiring of your brain of like, every time I have this emotion, I want to go down this way to this emotional story. I have to bring myself back and be like, nope, this is actually the truth. And so until we get this piece of the true story that's actually helping liberate you, you get stuck. Was your wife with you when you struggled? Yeah, 100%. And then she left because she had to focus on her healing and she couldn't do it in an abusive environment. Indifference is path healing, 100%. Why don't narcissists believe in God or karma? Because they think they are God. Why do they think they can do anything they want, get away with it? Same answer of the first question. How to become self-aware? Go listen to my origin story on Real and Raw with Ben Taylor. It's a podcast. Check that out. Okay. How to know if a guy is a narcissist based on the first date? There's a million different like clickbaity stuff out there. He could like talk about himself. You could see how he treats other people. You could tell him no and see what he does. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's a narcissist or not. It matters how it's affecting you. It matters what's actually happening in your world. Stillwater's 25 years together. It's about to end. No physical abuse. I know grandiose narcissist stepdad was one, but I didn't know coverts and the intricacies. Would love to talk to you. Would love to help you build an exit strategy or a plan or just a healing place. How did you heal and become this good or self-aware about your personality? Again, I just referenced you to my origin story. So my origin story with Real and Raw at Ben Taylor. Would love to be able to have that. Do they mean when they say they will hurt you and kill you, been threatening me for months now to take my life, hurt me and shut my door? I would take all those threats seriously. I would try to get whatever you can to make sure you're protected and that you're secure. I got great advice when somebody isn't listening. You stop talking and watch them like a hawk and you'll figure out what they're up to. Man, I have 2 as a result of family abuse. Now the covert was way worse. Jesus is working possibly fast now. Hang in there then. You're so correct. I did not heal fully. That led me to another narcissist and a son from previous narcissist. Also was abusing me. Heal yourself first or you'll never be free. 100%. I find people in these cycles. Like if you find yourself with a narcissist, then with another narcissist, with another narcissist, like you need to wake up to the reality, not that there's a common denominator that you're broken, just a common denominator that you haven't healed enough to actually see, understand, and put up healthy boundaries. You still don't have the self-respect for yourself. You still don't have the boundaries. You still don't know who you are because you're letting people sideline you and pull you off the track of life that you actually want to go down. Triggers are things, music, options. Triggers can be anything, right? Trigger can be a person, place, thing, music, tone of voice, way a person stands. Anything could trigger you back to like a thought or an idea. How do I totally heal from narcissism? Would love to talk to you about that. That's what we do inside of our programs. We have Survivor, Thriver. We've got our Thriver Intensive, a lot of different pieces. You can access both of those at rawmotivations.com. You can schedule a call with me at rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. But a big piece we have to help you heal is healing from the trauma bond. If we don't break the trauma bond, you'll stay in that cycle over and over and over. Why don't you say your self-awareness story here now? Because I don't really want to go on for like 30 minutes talking about the whole piece because I didn't have a light bulb moment. Everybody wants to hear my story because they're looking for the magic pixie dust that's going to wake their partner up. I don't have that. It was a period of time. It was a process of me understanding from different assessments, from different workplace pieces, from different pieces of different books I read, from different therapies, from different videos, like a ton of different things that brought me to a place of awareness. There was no light bulb moment. Everybody wants a light bulb moment. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist in my story. A lot of different pieces happen inside of my life for me to overturn all the puzzle pieces till they spelled narcissism. So that's why I don't take a lot of time going through this because there's more important questions than everybody just to be like, oh, how did you change? More than happy to be able to show you and you can listen to it, but I'm not going to ramble on here telling about how I changed when in reality, most people that want to hear how I changed only want to hear that to justify how to fix their partner, not actually heal themselves. I've heard the term discarding as a narcissist will discard you impossibly to protect himself. Could you elaborate on this? It's very true. Like you kind of described the whole thing. There's not a ton to it. But a narcissist oftentimes might discard a person so that it doesn't break down his mask, so he doesn't have to deal with the shame and the guilt, so he can run away from whatever piece is going to expose him. We all need to get away from these people doing us wrong for real. Yes, I had to change. I had to stop fighting, go silent, nearly silent. I'm accused of cheating and being a Satanist. Here's your 2 slurs. Yeah, a lot of times they're going to try to break you down and try to make you feel bad for actually putting up boundaries for you. Why do I keep reaching out to him? Because of my panic attacks. None is because you still have a trauma bond and there's still a piece inside of you that's craving either attention, validation from him because you haven't been able to do it for yourself, right? You haven't been able to shift your mindset, your thought process. Amanda would love to be able to help. Give like a specific question. You just say how to heal. That's like so broad. Healing has to break the trauma bond, has to help you deal with the triggers, actually eradicate the triggers and deal with the emotions, has to help you actually establish healthy boundaries, and has to help you have purpose and know who you are. Those are the 4 steps inside of healing and growth that Raw Motivation touch on. Now to dive into each one of those, we'd be here for the next 3 weeks. Why? Because we have so much content and so much stuff that's built into a step-by-step program to help people heal. I can't just be like, hey, this is every single thing. Those are the topics, those are the pieces that we have to help you heal, because if you don't do those things, you're going to keep going back to a toxic person over and over and over and over again. Why do narcissists hate people that care about them? They don't. That's the weird piece. Narcissists are more infatuated with his image and with the mask that he's creating. And if that mask is threatened, then he'll do whatever it takes to protect that mask, even if it means hurting other people, which oftentimes it means hurting other people, right? It doesn't mean that he doesn't care about the other people because like they're not him. They're not his image. They're not his mask. Does karma ever catch up with the narcissist? All bridges they burn and friends they betray, does karma ever catch up with them? Yes, but that's not a piece that you might ever see, because you will spend so much time being infatuated and waiting to see that than you will your own healing. It's great if he gets karma. What would be better, him getting karma or you getting your healing? Think about it. Because people will spend so much time anger, bitter, frustrated about everything that's happened than they will learning how to actually live a healthy life. This is the weird topic that nobody likes to talk about, which is forgiveness. People are like, oh, well, I can't forgive him. Okay, well, part of it is necessary for healing. Because one piece of forgiveness is releasing the mental and emotional hold that this guy has on you. Doesn't mean you're absolving him of what he did at all. Forgiveness can happen and he never knows about it. Forgiveness can happen and there be no reconciliation because neither of those things are about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not even forgetting. Forgiveness is releasing so that it no longer controls you and you can actually focus on your own life. So when people focus on the karma, they focus on, is he going to get his due? Are you going to get your healing? Too many people focus on karma when they could be focused on the life that they actually want to live. But they sacrifice their life they want to live, waiting to see the demise of someone else's. Is your narcissism based in BPD? It is not. I was with a girl with BPD, and narcissism is not, I'm not on that side. Might sound weird, but for me, it's like, thank God. There's way too many emotions there that I do not want to deal with. We've worked hard to be able to work on the emotional side. I can't imagine if I was emotionally manipulative at the same time, too. That would have been awful. I'm a narcissist, but I want to change. Any advice? Would love to talk to you. I do work with narcissists. You can go to rawmotivations.com. The biggest thing is you have to be honest. Like if you're not willing to be honest with you about what's actually going inside, like nothing's going to shift, nothing's going to change. So like a radical, a ruthless commitment to honesty is massive. First to yourself and then to other people. That's how a lot of my change initially started. Hey, I showed screenshots to his whole family, so I'm trying to act like it was friendly chats. Yeah, a lot of times he's going to downplay it. It's an excellent way to explain the pattern of attracting narcissists. I know I need to learn to set up healthy boundaries. Until I do, I'm going to focus on being my own soulmate. So Beth, would love to talk to you and be able to help you inside of this. You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Would love to talk to you to show you how you can actually do that step by step. He gave narcissist free therapy for 3 years. He would always respond every 1 to 5 minutes after my text. Is this to establish control? It was so weird. I just couldn't take it anymore. It could be establish control. It could just be make sure he has like that. It's like a programming. Wow, you're actually really wise. Tell me more about healing from the trauma bond. I walked you through the freedom formula earlier. You might have missed that. That's what we do inside of our programs. But the trauma bond is made up of hope and potential. You think the guy's going to change. You see the potential, but he's not actually living up to it. It's made up of cognitive dissonance, 2 opposing thoughts. You don't know which one to believe, so you make up your own to justify staying in a toxic relationship. And also the piece of intermittent reinforcement. It's getting late. That's addicted to the highs and lows. You're like, oh, the low's not so bad because it'll get better, and it gets better, and then you're like, yay, and then it goes back to being bad. And you get so addicted to it, it becomes comfortable, and so you keep going back to a toxic person over and over. He still this day said it was just friends and family. Yeah, he's never going to admit the truth, okay? So you need to walk away because he's never going to admit the truth. Have you done inner child work? Yes. Why do you think narcissism seems so prevalent now? One, you know more about it because everybody's interconnected in everybody's life because of social media. Before that, people were isolated. Narcissism was around. People just didn't know what it was and didn't have a label for it. Or was it just hidden for years and no one talked about it? Yeah, I guess I can answer that. Yeah. Been in a hotel room 2 weeks and don't know even how to go get my things. She put a RO on me, so you probably need to talk to the police to see about having them go get your things or how that can work. Can't bring myself to trust anything you have to say, knowing all that I know now. Totally fine. You don't have to believe shit for all I care. You can go to rawmotivation.com. You can hear from other people. You can see the proof in the pudding of all the content I put out. And you can just test it. Maybe what I'm saying is a bunch of hooey. Well, test it out, see if it's actually true. I don't need your belief to make me feel better about myself. I'm still going to keep telling the truth how I see it so that I can help people heal. I say because of the children and kept trying, never called him a narcissist. And then I did a few years ago, hell broke loose. Yeah, so I was still like, want to be able to help you see how to be able to heal inside of this. Because if you stayed with because the kids, it could be pieces that you shielded the kids that they could turn on you. He could have already like conditioned them. Like there's a piece that could be really, really difficult. Can't forget when I don't know what I'm forgiving.
I know this is going back to the forgiving piece, but I'm trying to be able to connect. Can't forget when I don't know what I'm forgiving. You're releasing the mental and emotional hold so you can actually move forward with your life. Can you describe what narcissist collapse is? How long does it last for? And does a person go back to the narcissism? Yeah, they go back to their narcissism. Collapse doesn't do anything for it. It just means they're like bigger victim in a moment. I don't see a ton of collapse. Everybody says that the collapse is, a lot of people think that a narcissist collapses and a narcissistic injury happens way more than what it does. I don't see a ton of that. Does a narcissist feel feelings? Yes, they're not a robot, they're human. If you can admit you're a narcissist, that means you can change and improve. Yeah, if anybody can be honest, it means they can change and improve. They're even human, yep. He called me and said he needed to know I forgave him. I said yes in the moment, but part of me did feel sorry for him. He's sympathetic. Yeah, he is. I go back and forth if I was a narcissist, but I'm way too caring for others. So you might have narcissistic traits by being with a person. Narcissistic fleas, right? So that's a piece that you can work on in healing. Can narcissists manipulate their therapist? 100%, which affects the advice they get from the therapist to benefit, which affects the advice they get from the therapist to benefit the narcissist. 100%, we see that all the time. Or you have a narcissist that will go to therapy and be like, I think I'm a narcissist. And they're like, oh, well, if you're saying that, then you're not a narcissist. That's like the worst line that a therapist could ever say. If a therapist says that, one, they're stupid, and two, don't ever work with them. Because if someone's like, oh, well, if you're asking that, then you must not be a narcissist. I know a ton of narcissists that have asked that question to be able to get the person to be like, no, you're not, just so they feel better about themselves and so they can go back and abuse the person they're with. Like whenever my wife first said something about me and being a narcissist, I made sure to ask other people that would validate the fact that I wasn't a narcissist so I could go back and tell her that I was a narcissist because other people said I was a narcissist. It's like one of the worst answers. Nobody answered this, but like it's one of the worst answers that people can give. Well, if you're asking if you're a narcissist, then you're not a narcissist. If you're asking, then start working on it. Like that's it. Like if you think there's problems, if you think there's issues there, wouldn't you want to work on it? Or just be like, well, like that's a piece. So I hate that answer. So went off of that. You can show everyone the truth. The facts on the screen they will still lie there. Yeah. I spent a waking hours studying about BPD, recovering. Also, yeah. He accused me of assaulting him last year. I was horrified. Let's see. Do you still revert to your old self now and then during periods of stress and whatnot? Stress definitely would have a time where I would get more triggered, but it's not reverting. It's more like different triggers. Why they keep doing weird stuff just to push you away rather than just leave us, because he wants you to leave so he doesn't feel bad about himself and he doesn't look like the bad guy. What's the difference between a narcissist and avoidant attachment style? I'm gonna answer it this way because I want you to hear something different. What's the difference if you get punched in the face by a narcissist versus if you get punched in the face by an avoidant attachment style? Nothing. Except you're still hurt. We can walk through and we can slice and dice whether the person's a narcissist or avoidant attachment style. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is the abuse that you're still accepting on a day-to-day basis because, well, he's not a narcissist, he's just avoidant, so it means I should give him more grace. Yeah, well, he still abuse you. Sounds like a great idea. I'm not saying this to call you out or be rude. I'm saying this because I need you to wake up. Because if you're looking to find a label to justify leaving, it means you're already not living in a world of facts. You're basing everything in your life off feelings, and you're going to get stuck with a person who's going to manipulate your feelings to leave you trapped no matter what, and you won't be free. Because you're not looking at how this person is treating you and the effect of what's actually happening. You're looking for a label to justify whether you leave or whether you stay. You can't look at the label to leave or stay. You look at the facts of the relationship. Do you know how we help people get free the most? Simple formula. You ready? Facts, feelings, focus, fruit. Everybody here, write it down. Facts, feelings, focus, fruit. If you took these four things, I'm going to talk about it just for a second. If you do these four things and you learned how to live this way in your life every single day, your life would automatically start to be transformed. Period. If you lived it to the fullest, which means you look at every single aspect based on the facts, not based on the feelings. Your facts come first. What are the facts about this relationship? What is the evidence about this relationship? What is the demonstration about this relationship? Facts always have to come first. You're like, why? Well, because you've been living and operating for such a long period of time with your feelings that are determining your facts, which is screwing up the whole story of what's going on in your head, which is why you think you're not good enough. It's not because you're actually not good enough. It's not because there's facts that prove that you're not good enough. You're amazing, you're wonderful, you're a beautiful human being that's on this planet to grow and develop, but someone has told you and implanted the idea that you're shameful, that you're bad, that you're not good enough, that you're worthless. They've put that in you. Is that a fact? No, that's a feeling. Facts come first. Now, does that mean you never feel? No, that's why feelings come second. Feelings about the facts. I'm in an abusive relationship. What are the feelings? This sucks. This is sad. This is hard. This is hurtful. I feel pain, right? Facts come first, then feelings. Because we're not saying shut off your feelings. We're saying understand what are the feelings associated with the facts in your life. Not what are the facts based on the feelings in your life. Massive difference. If you just shifted that, massive difference in your life. What are the facts about your relationship? What are the facts about how he's treating you? What are the facts about what he's demonstrating? Then how do you feel about those things? Third thing, most pivotal. Facts, feelings, focus. The focus is the story that you're telling yourself. The focus is what you're focusing on, is what is actually happening. So you have facts. This is my toxic relationship. You have the feelings. Feels really shitty in this moment. What's the focus? Well, I've been telling myself that he's a good guy, or I've been telling myself that he's just immature, and that's led me to this facts. These facts in my life of me being stuck with this guy, that's because I've been believing that he's going to change. Well, in the past 20 years, has he changed? Nope. In the past 15 years, has he stopped cheating on me? Nope. But I feel like he's, okay, let's go back to the facts. Facts, feelings, focus, last piece is fruit. The focus is the pivotal point. You're like, here's the facts, here's my feelings, okay. Now I could keep focusing on the same story. He's just immature. It's not actually abuse because he hasn't hit me yet. I can focus on all of those different stories I'm going to tell myself to stay, and that's going to give me the same fruit that's the same as my facts. Still being in an abusive relationship, still feeling I can't leave, and still feeling broken. Or I could change my focus and understand, hey, this is what it actually is. Let me start shifting my focus to what I need to do differently to live differently and not to have the same facts in my life. It's a formula. It's a framework. Facts, feelings, focus, fruit. It's at the foundation, the core of everything that we do. Because if you don't learn how to live by a code, if you don't learn how to live honest to yourself of like, oh, this is what's actually going on in my reality, then you'll be so surprised that you get fruit in your life that you don't like. You get a result in your life that you don't like. You're like, how did I get this? Well, because you had to tell yourself a story in order to be able to get that. And oftentimes you told yourself a story based on facts that were based on feelings, not feelings of the facts. Massive piece that I just put there. That piece has transformed thousands of people's lives. It's taught to thousands of different people. If you just took that and understood that and started applying that in different levels, we teach this in different pieces of our courses. But understanding that you have to live your life based on the facts. The facts are what sets you free. You understand the facts of the relationship, facts of what's happening, the facts of how he's demonstrating, the facts are what sets you free. Your feelings are what leave you trapped. Does that mean feelings are bad? No, not at all. But they need to be determined and understood based off of the facts, not having feelings and, oh, that's where you draw your facts from. Hopefully that makes sense. Can't say how much that has helped my life and helped a ton of people. I missed a ton. We're going to be wrapping this up soon. I need to wrap this up soon. It's late. It's my bedtime. Still don't know if I am. Looked into a lot, and I think it might be avoidant. So Piggins Oggins would love to talk to you. You can go to rawmotivation.com. There's a breakthrough call for men. Watch it. If it connects and it makes sense, fill out the application. Let's have a call. I'm a narcissist. The only reason I'm saying this is because I'm not delusional about it. I want to change. You can be a narcissist, not delusional about it at all. Danae would love to have you reach out. PTSD from him and my stepdad. Yeah, a lot of times CPTSD typically comes inside of toxic relationships. What was your own wake-up call to realize your narcissist way of being need for change? Could you understand why you acted as you did? No, it took a long time to be able to understand it. You can listen to my story at Real and Raw with Ben Taylor podcast. And inside of that, there is an episode that says my origin story that walks through the whole piece of it. I don't know what the truth is. My brain don't believes him. I question everything I feel. I used to my feelings being wrong. So you're only believing him because you're trauma bonded. Till we break the trauma bond, it's not going to shift. Do you still feel as perpetually numb, empty, bored, depressed inside as you used to before? Has it gotten better? Yeah, I don't feel that. I'm definitely committed to the healing process and starting the Survivor to Thriver course, but I can't help thinking how to share your program for the man to give him a choice to want or not. If you're jumping inside the program, like we can actually chat and I can send you a link. Or if you go to, I have another page that's probably like better to be able to send the men. Just shoot me an email. Oh, Clarissa, you're in the escape toxicity. Yeah, that one, I saw your thing inside of there. That one, we just switched it into the app. So like I connect you inside the Facebook group because I felt bad. Inside of it, like we just switched people into the app. So we just had like, it's just new people coming into the app. But yeah, Survivor to Thriver is a lot more connected. There's like the other day inside the call, we had like 6 or 8 people on. So you're definitely going to get people like connecting with you right away inside of there too. Women are controlling, men are controlling. I get in line, everybody's controlling. We've been got 10 months, constant ghosting and disrespect. I don't know if it's narcissistic or avoidant. Doesn't matter. What matters is the abuse. That's probably what you're going back to. But Beth, would love to have you reach out. Like, please just go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. How do we get in touch with folks from the YouTube anyway? Are you talking about people here? I'm not sure. How do you co-parent? I've got a couple of videos on parallel parenting. We actually talked about this earlier in the live, but we're at like 100 minutes now, and I'm not going to dive into all of it. Sorry, it was earlier on in the live. My wake-up call to change from being a narcissist, my boyfriend calling me out with a book we found at Barnes & Noble, explained why I was a narcissist and how I became one. Have self-respect to leave, 100%. I've spent the last 5 months trying to stay sane and battling through it. I'm learning you can't co-parent. Yeah, you can't co-parent. You have to parallel parent. Being with you, honest, yeah. Ben, did you publish any books about overcoming narcissistic abuse? I haven't. I actually had someone talk about that. The only thing I've published is 2 books on Amazon, which are 2 journals that we have to be able to help people in the healing space. One's called From Fantasy to Reality, and the other one's called From Regret to Gratitude. But each one has over 100 prompts to be able to help people work through different things. Facts, feeling, focus, fruit. Yeah, 100%. That is massive. 100%. It's very frustrating, heartbreaking with the holiday. Why are holidays always ruined? Because it's not about the narcissist. I'm a super empath. Is that like a badge? Like how, like for you, what does that actually mean for you? Some people use that as their flag of like, well, this is why I'm getting abused. I'll talk to anyone, deal with trying to get over trauma. Do you believe BPD and NPD is more or less the same, more on a spectrum base? Both of them are spectrum based, and BPD, NPD, sociopath, and histrionic are all inside cluster B, so they're very similar in a lot of ways. Only helping women. I only work with women survivors and male narcissists. Tried to work with the others, doesn't work. We've invited many different guys to be able to move into our Survivor to Thriver challenge. Majority of men do not finish it. They want to stay in victim mode and they don't want to actually do the work. Do narcissists get worse as they approach middle age or older? Typically, yes. We're wrapping up. Been on here for like an hour and 40 minutes. Was not expecting it to be this long. When you walk away, why does it feel the need to show you they moved on if you no longer care? To be able to try to get you to care, to be able to show that they have like the last laugh and be able to control you. If you're inside of this and you're resonating with this, we've had like consistently like 130 people on, which is amazing and positive of having people on, but negative in the fact that like there's a lot of people that have been abused. Like there's a lot of people that have had trauma. If you see yourself inside of this live with us talking through a lot of different pieces here and you resonate with where you are, trauma bonded, stuck, feel like you're stuck in a cycle, feel like you're trapped, this message is for you. You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. You can book a call right there. You fill out, you watch a video, fill out a short application so I know a little bit more about you, and you either book a call to be able to work with me inside of our Thriver Intensive, or you'll book a call to be able to work with me inside of Survivor Thriver. Or you can jump that and you can jump into Survivor Thriver and you can get the 6 group coaching calls and like jump right in, right? We'll get you connected. We'll start you connected with other people right away. You can actually get the first aspect, like we actually have an option where you can do like a setup call where we kind of like white glove it and walk you through all the different steps so you understand every piece of it. But you actually could go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. You could sign up tonight. You could get access tonight. You could start interacting, seeing the community tonight. Like there's a lot of quick pieces that you can start the healing process right away. Is there a chat room for help? There is inside of all of our programs. We have communities everywhere, and different people are connected. It's kind of like Facebook, but way better and way more secure. Have you now become capable of non-cognitive form of empathy, or will fear be incapable? I don't think forever it's incapable. It's been a lot of change inside of that. Is there no evidence of any narcissists getting healed? There's several narcissists that have changed, that have transformed. How long does it take to break the trauma bond? There's no time frame on it. I've seen people break it with as short as like 4 weeks. And I've seen people break it take much longer. It doesn't, the timeline is all depending on how honest you are and how much time you invest into you. It's not necessarily a piece you can put in a timeline. Okay. Thank you all so much for being on tonight. Y'all have had amazing questions. Y'all have been fantastic just in sharing this and liking this and asking a lot of questions and supporting each other. We didn't get a lot of toxic trolls, a couple of them I blocked because they're idiots. But I'm glad that y'all were here. Thank you so much. I am tired. I'm gonna go to bed. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're in this place and you resonate with the stuff that I say, then go to rawmotivations.com. If anything, just to check it out, all right? Could be a place inside of it that you'll resonate with some of the programs, some of the challenges that we have. Because the difference inside of all the challenges is it's no longer you just asking questions, and it's no longer you just watching another video. Many of you, if you've asked some of the questions you've asked tonight, you don't need more videos to watch. You need accountability and you need action. You need a step-by-step plan and you need tools. If there's anything that I am proud of, is that the people that have worked with me long-term don't watch my content. They don't need to. They don't need to watch it to ground themselves. They already know how to do that. They don't need to watch themselves to protect themselves from a Hoover. They're already strong enough. My long-term goal is that you don't have to watch my content. If you're watching my content to soothe the wound or to make sure you don't go back, stop watching it and step inside one of my challenges. Go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, fill an application, book a call. Because many of you watching this right now don't need more shit. You need to do something. You don't need to consume any more information, because the knowledge doesn't bring power. The knowledge doesn't bring transformation, action, movement, accountability, coaching, switches everything. If you're on here just to consume, appreciate it, don't need you here. If you're on here to transform your life, that requires action. That requires you to raise your hand and say, hey, I need help. If you're raising your hand, many of you had inside of all this today. Go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Watch the video where I talk about the healing journey, the growth mindset. I break it down for you. And inside of that, I'd love to help you move forward. Not wanted. I don't know what you're talking about. But that's a really victim-minded thing to be able to say. About feeling emotions. Yeah, we're going to feel emotions. You're going to feel a lot of emotions going through the challenges. But I'm going to teach you how to step into the pain and step out of it versus being stuck thinking you're never going to get out of it. Thank you all so much for being here. Y'all have asked a lot of questions. Thank you for sticking around. That's all I got. In a nutshell, co-parenting doesn't exist, parallel parenting. Don't look at the label. Label doesn't matter. The only way you're gonna heal is to break the trauma bond. Inside of moving forward, the growth and development of what we teach is how to be able to break the trauma bond, deal with the triggers, establish healthy boundaries, find out who you are. So if that resonates, go to rawmotivations.com, fill an application, give an opportunity to book a free call for us to be able to sit down and make a plan and see what's happening, what's going on, where you're at, where you want to go, challenges in between. If it ends up being the Raw Motivation is a good fit, I'll open the gate and just make you an offer of saying, hey, this is what I have. Do you want it? Do you not want it? Totally up to you. No pressure, just a piece of saying, this is what I offer. Healing, transformation. If that's what you want, rawmotivations.com. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. Good night.